Is it pretty cold in the winter?
I would say all of the windows had ice on them. Probably they would bank the stoves to keep as much heat in as possible without burning the house down.
And I heard there was a few fires.
Oh, a few. It was our fire department that you always had a bucket of water near the back door.
Always.
Always. That's where our wash basin was. A little old cabinet with the wash basin on and a bucket of water. So if someone built a fire in the old kitchen stove too hot, the wood around the pipe as it went out to the kitchen ceiling would catch on fire. Well, that smoke was a different odor than the smoke, and whenever you smell that smoke, someone would holler fire. The ladder's always up on, leaned against the back of the house. The bucket of water was toted up there and poured on the fire and put it out.
From the top.
And we kept our house safe and sound that way.
How many times do you think that caught on fire?
Oh, probably once a year. Don't you dare build that fire so hot that it... So someone had milked the cows, brought it in, set it inside the door, and the fire alarm went off. Fire! Someone grabbed the bucket, tore up the ladder, and there went the milk.
Oh! Poured milk all over it.
It put the fire out.
I guess it was worth it.
It was worth it. Mother says that when Jeanette was young, and she was a climber and a antsy little girl, and Mother would catch her going up that ladder, and this time Jeanette was up on the roof. The roof of the old green part slanted to the south, very slant, and Mother got up there, and of course she starts to run up, looking back at Mother. Well, she's going to fall off, kill herself on the other side. So Mother finally thought, I've got to distract her, and she probably said, let's go down and get some ice cream. Let's go down, or whatever the foy was. And she got Jeanette down, and I think the ladder got removed so that little old Jeanette wouldn't be up there again.
Okay. Just one funny story. Dad was saying something about in the winter time it was quite a ways out to the outhouse, and so the girls would get mad at the boys because the boys would just step out the door.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why I brought that up. I remember Dad saying the girls would say, that's not fair, you guys have got to go all the way out there, you're making a mess.
Oh, I imagine so. Dad used to have bees in a big round. Oh, he'd have them in their cases.
Mm-hmm. The hives?
The hives. He'd cover himself up, mask over his head, and netting over his face to keep the bees out. And he would go out there with these heavy gloves, lift out the honey, put it in this big round thing that would turn around and round, and extract the honey from those cases. And
From the combs?
And we used to stand and watch him at a distance because the bees, and he would always smoke them to keep the majority of the bees sedated. But his covering was for the few that were persistent in who's swiping our honey.
Right. I'll bet he got stung a lot of times.
Oh, I imagine he had a stinger too.
Now, is that how Dad got stung that time he was, or is that a different story?
Where was he? I'm not sure. I think he was coming down somewhere. It wasn't the railroad track because he broke his leg on that trip.
Dad did?
Yeah. So the honeybees, anyway, chased him home this time. Evidently, he was training for track as usual. So he was running down the railroad track, and evidently slipped in between, fell, and really broke his leg.
Whereabouts on his leg?
I don't know. I kind of have a vision of it being the upper leg, but it was probably the lower. Anyway,
wow.
Will Harris heard him screaming and was driving by on his empty hay rack. Stopped, loaded Ross onto this hay rack, bounced him off the probably a half-mile home, and Ross is screaming all the way. That was a bad deal for him.
How old was he at that time?
Well, he'd be in high school,
school.
if he's training for
track.
For track.
And so the doctor set his leg, and
I don't remember. I just remember.
Makes you wonder if it got set.
Probably not. Probably not.
Wow.